Welcome to the stream. Better later than never, obviously, in this instance. Wanted to go live about an hour ago. Kinda couldn't get things in line, and so I am live 1 hour later. Now, I'm not sure how long per se will this stream be at the moment. Will it be like hour, a bit more like usually, or it will be about 40 minutes, something like that? All remains basically to be seen. At the moment, I have no idea. Obviously, everything depends under circumstances that are under my control. But overall, for today, obviously, Arsenal still moves on. We're gonna talk about Martin Odegaard with some positive news, with some positive light. We're gonna talk about something not so positive that is a trend at the moment at Arsenal, especially for how we play, which is not a great thing at the moment. And if we want to challenge properly and not to fall short at certain occasions, we need to improve on. And some other few bits and bobs there, so here or there. So definitely we have some stuff to discuss. So I think we're not gonna drag this too long already than it has to be. So if you're new around here, don't forget to subscribe, hit that bell, smash thumbs up, all that good stuff here. If you're watching this live, get live interactive in the chat. If you're watching this as a playback, don't forget to comment. But yeah, we're gonna kick things off basically with Martin Odegaard. Let's start on a positive note. We're gonna kick things off with Martin Odegaard, who has been pictured and it's been posted by Arsenal themselves. He is now stepping up his rehabilitation from injury at the Reality Sobat Center, and he is on a treadmill, walking, running, and trying to do these things again, which is fan-freaking-tastic. Obviously, yesterday news came out about the fact that there might be some opportunity, some possibility that he might be back for Liverpool game. So obviously, most of the Arsenal fans want him back by that time, would love to have him back by that time, including myself. And Odegaard already is kind of walking on the alter G, whatever that is. He's running even. And for me, obviously, to get back to fitness, to some sort of stamina, and to get back in some sort of shape, he should be getting back into full training no later than about, I would say, October 15th. October 14th, something like that. So there's still a bit of time to see whether it's gonna happen or not, because it could take some time to get him back to full fitness. Obviously, we would like to get him fast as soon as possible, but obviously Arsenal don't want to risk it. They don't want to have one more time another injury on him, reoccurring one. So in that instance, it is pretty safe and sound, pretty much straightforward in that regard. Moving things on to some news also regarding the Liverpool game. According to reports and everything, it's pretty much confirmed. Alisson is set to miss around 6 weeks after new test results confirmed that he has a hamstring injury. And obviously he'll be not available until after the next international break in mid-November. So he's out for quite some time. Liverpool are kind of going into a very rough schedule at the moment in the season with the Champions League, Premier League. They had a quite chill start, and now they're getting into nitty-gritty times. And obviously they have some very tough opponents, and losing Alisson obviously is a big miss for them. Most likely Kelleher will gonna take his place, but all also remains to be seen, because at the moment I have no idea how Liverpool will look without Alisson per se under Arne Slot. Some Liverpool fans are saying that Kelleher is bare for Arne Slot's system, but at the same time we don't know. But it's pretty much confirmed that he's out until the end, until after international break in mid-November, which means of course he won't be participating in Arsenal's game against Liverpool as well, which obviously is good news for Arsenal, but overall for football it's not that great of news, because as a football fan, I don't like to see players getting injured whatsoever. So wishing him a speedy recovery, and it is what it is. In other news, oh my god, I accidentally clicked it. David Raya has won Arsenal's Player of the Month for September, which is big thing for him, big thing for Arsenal. On one hand, it's a very good thing that David Raya has been finally recognized, and he is getting recognized by Arsenal fans, especially the ones that were saying Ramsdale is much better, that were singing Ramsdale's name while Raya was in goal and stuff like that. However, it also says quite a bit about our team, because Raya is on a very insane form. Almost every single week he has to make some sort of a world-class save or even a double save. And obviously that also doesn't have good trends in Arsenal in my opinion. Because if your goalkeeper is your man of the match most of the time, or he's very close to that, and at the end of the month he wins player of the month, it shows that defensively we are struggling a bit. It means we face certain shots we should not be facing. Obviously, you could say it's just a bit of a bad luck in a sense, but at the same time, the fact that goalkeeper is getting player of the month, it's not a great overall look if you look at the overall things. But at the same time, great news for him, great news for Arsenal, seeing that our main goalkeeper is in a very good form. He hasn't been injured still, so knock on wood on that he stays injury free. So hopefully he can keep performing on the level he is performing already with the world-class saves, double saves. Hopefully he needs to do those as less as possible, and when his name is called upon, he can still rise up to the task per se. But yeah, Raya has one player of the month, so that is good news in general for him as well. Now, here is the big one. Here is the big one. And this is according to Alexis Bernard, who is a Mercato reporter and stuff like that, basically. But he has a report and is saying today that Real Madrid have made William Saliba their top priority signing next summer. The player's entourage has already been contacted, with Real Madrid willing to pay whatever price to convince Arsenal to sell. Which obviously is a bad news for Arsenal, because obviously Real Madrid are sending scouts already countless times to Arsenal games to scout the player. Obviously I assume there will be some for French international games as well. The big thing is though, Real Madrid willing to pay whatever the price. Obviously, they are in a quite of a tight spot in terms of center backs, especially with the fact that Odegaard is getting on in age, Alaba is getting on in age, Militao ACL, obviously Alaba had an ACL and all those things. However, correct me if I'm wrong, but overall, what I have experienced with Real Madrid, they are not that type of a team that is going to pay whatever the price to convince Arsenal. Obviously, if you want to sign a world top class talent, sometimes you have to pay top dollar, obviously, as it stands to the reason. At the same time, Real Madrid, the players they haven't paid much for any of them. Camavinga was about 20-25 million. Tchouameni was also very cheap. They got Mbappe for free. They get players for cheap. Rudiger was for free and stuff like that. So it's a big interesting one that they say they are willing to pay whatever the price. It's a very bold statement in terms of Real Madrid per se, in my opinion. So that obviously remains to be seen what's going to happen with that in summer specifically, as it states here. Because Real Madrid obviously at the moment have more urgent matters at hand, is filling that right back spot. Obviously with Carvajal doing his ACL and having only Vasquez as a backup option doesn't bode well for them in title charge, in UCL and anywhere else, in any other competitions they're gonna be in. So obviously they're gonna look at certain options during the January transfer window. Will they sign anyone? Obviously remains to be seen. There have been links with Trent. Trent in the terms that they might speed up their interest and their efforts to sign him, because there were countless reports that they most likely gonna go for him and Davies on a free. They're gonna try and sign him in summer, but at the moment with the injury to Carvajal, it has kind of forced their hand to maybe go a bit quicker in for Trent, which means they would have to pay for him. Obviously how much remains to be seen. If they actually do that also remains to be seen. But the fact pay whatever the price is such a wide and broad statement to throw around, especially when we talk about one of the best center backs in Europe at the moment, that it is what it is. It will be very interesting how this develops, because obviously Arsenal would like to keep Saliba no matter what. They don't want to let him go. He has contract till 2027 with an option to extend for another year, which means he at the end of during next summer he would still have at least 2 years left of his contract, which means again Real Madrid would be kind of forced to pay over the odds once again. So it's very weird for me because as I said, Real Madrid, in my opinion, is not that team that's gonna pay insane amounts of money for any player because they usually tend to get players somewhat cheap. Obviously, if you want a certain player, sometimes you have to pay top dollar, especially when it's such a position where there isn't that much talent in the world in terms of Saliba, in terms of center backs. In that instance, also, I was kind of hoping they would get Euro instead of United, so that would kind of cool their interest, obviously, in William Saliba. But since he decided to join Manchester United, it has left Real Madrid in kind of a pickle. And obviously, Arsenal in this instance, it's very nuts. Obviously, Saliba also in interviews before has said that if Real Madrid want to sign me, they can go play career mode on FIFA. Obviously, amazing statement for Arsenal fans. That's what they love to hear. Yet, at the same time, the Real Madrid knock, when they come for a player, it's a completely different knock pretty much to any other team in the world. So you never know what's going to happen. Players can say they love the club, they want to play here forever, they can see themselves playing here forever. But at the same time, there are certain opportunities that sometimes you just cannot pass upon. And in my opinion, for Arsenal to even try to keep Saliba during next summer is the fact that they need to win trophies this season. That is kind of a must to have some sort of an extra leverage in terms of Real Madrid. Because we all know if he goes to Real Madrid, there's an often chance than not that he's going to play quite a bit of games. And there is pretty much a guarantee when you play for Real Madrid, you're going to win trophies. There is a guarantee no matter what. So that is the big thing. Because if you look at Saliba, he fits perfectly in Real Madrid's team. He is one of those perfect players for Real Madrid. So there's no wonder that they're sending scouts. He is one of their top priorities, if not the top priority, and they're willing to pay that whatever the price is, as it is quoted. So what's gonna happen with that obviously remains to be seen, but it could be very, very rough and very, very, very tough. Big up, Nathan. I saw you before in the chat. I saw you were here quite early, I'm not gonna lie. As you said, players I've seen us linked with Šeško, Pogba, Hato, Wirtz as well. Wirtz has said he would like to stay until the extend contract potentially at Bayer Leverkusen. Ederson from Atalanta, by the way, not Ederson from City. João Pedro, Shermont and Nico Paz and all that stuff. It was going nuts. Also, if we get Paz, it's over for Vieira. I think Paz comes in to fight Vangueri for that Odegaard spot. That's good competition, but looks like Paz wants guaranteed minutes. The big thing for me with this statement is the fact that I don't see us going in for Paz. For the sole reason that it would instantly stop, in a way, the development of Ethan Vangueri. Unless Mikel Arteta wants to kind of force him into that left number 8 role, which, let's be real, he's not gonna do, in my opinion. It would completely stop, in a way, his development. Unless he tries to play Paz or Vangueri on a wing, tries to maybe change his position and then something like that. It would be kind of nuts as well. Not gonna lie, also have never seen Quenda play. Maybe he will play against Arsenal in the Champions League, who knows. Very raw, but has the tools to be a good signing. We will see. Anyways, here we go. Every team will get shots against every team. So if we have a keeper who does his job, it's not make us nervous mistakes. Exactly, that's the thing. I am happy that Raya has saved us big time. He saved us against Wolves big time in the first half. He saved us against Aston Villa big time. He saved us against Brighton big time not to lose the game, also to Aston Villa potentially. He saved us from losing against Atalanta with insane double save. He has made insane saves and saved the Arsenal countless points already this season. And as great as it sounds, as you have a goalkeeper you can depend upon, a goalkeeper who does these things, at the same time, it kind of shows on some instances how vulnerable our defense could be if something goes wrong. And in my opinion, Raya won't be able to make those saves all the time. Because if you recall, Raya came in last year and he had a shaky start, let's be real. And at that time, also during the whole last season, Our defense kind of bailed Raya out on quite many occasions, and Raya at times let some savable goals in. Now this season again, it's kind of reversed roles. Our defense in a way is letting him down a bit, and he's kind of bailing out the defense, saving shots that should be in a way certain goals, which is quite amazing to see how he has grown into the team with how much confidence he plays and everything. And that is the big thing. That is the biggest only worry for me, the fact that our defense is a bit shaky at times. I know they will get into gear, they will kind of play together, having the fact that Timber, for example, hasn't played for a whole year, and he gets chucked into the team, and then obviously there will be some misunderstandings. Same goes for Calafiori and stuff like that. At the same time, some goals we have conceded haven't come from the wings. They have scored it because our main two anchors on defense have had miscommunications. Massive gaps between them, a straight pass between them. 2 times, 3 times this season already. So it is what it is. I guess we'll have to wait and see. And let's just hope our defense can get into gear quite quickly. I think by pay whatever the price, they mean wages, so it forces players to force the move. Potentially, yeah. It could... no, but the thing is, pay whatever price to convince Arsenal to sell. Which means they are preparing not just to pay Saliba big money. They're also prepared to pay Arsenal big money for Saliba. So it all remains, it will be very weird to watch next summer transfer window. Especially if we fall flat this season. That will be the biggest worry for me. We have to win something this season just to have some sort of leverage over that. Because as I said, let's be real. If you go to Real Madrid, you're guaranteed trophies. You have, unless you get some insane injuries and stuff like that, obviously. But you have a guaranteed legacy one shape or another. At Arsenal at the moment, unless you start winning, it has that gray area where there is a possibility to change players' minds, not to stay in that club and just to go to the bigger team. And as I said, Real Madrid, when they come knocking, it's a completely different knock. At the moment, obviously, it's too soon to tell. It's too soon to make any long-term and long-lasting conclusions. But obviously, Arsenal, in my opinion, must be winning something this season to kind of have that extra reasons to convince Saliba to stay. If Real Madrid actually come in with a big offer in general. Realistically, we should aim for domestic treble. We should aim for Carabao FA Cups for sure, and we should aim for Premier League. Because we can do it. Champions League, it could be hit and miss because on any given day, any team can almost beat any given team. It just happens like that in Premier League. We have seen massive upsets. We just saw, for example, Lille win 1-0 against Real Madrid. We saw that. We saw, who was it? It was a Union from Belgium or something like that. Or something like Royal Union or something. They went to Bernabeu and they beat Real Madrid or drew against Real Madrid. Same did some other teams have done that. So on any given day, any team can beat anyone if the other team is not prepared. Especially favorites are not prepared. It will be very interesting to see. But yeah, we should be aiming for at least 2 trophies this season. Minimum. We should be getting 2 trophies. I don't mind losing Saliba for 150 million. Just have to find the next gem. No players bigger than Arsenal. I've seen Cesc, Henry, Vieira, Nasri, Cole. Obviously, that is the thing. But also, the Cesc kind of left, it feels like, even though all these players have won something at Arsenal. Vieira, Henry, they're invincibles and stuff like that. They have won the titles. But one thing, none of those players won at Arsenal is Champions League. And they went away and won Champions League. Most of them, at least, in their respective clubs they left for. So I think also that European pedigree kind of plays a big role in that instance. Obviously, Arsenal should be starting with at least winning Premier League first, and then kind of trying to win Champions League, either or. But at the same time, 150 million for Saliba, it is somewhat fair assessment to pay for Saliba, I would say, because for the player he is. Genuinely, he will only get better. There is no kind of possibility of him getting worse because he is improving every single season. It feels like he's getting more ice in his veins than any other center back and any other before. So he feels cool as a cucumber every single time, and he looks more convincing. He even does some skills. He does some drops his shoulder when even he's the last man with the ball. And obviously if he loses the ball, it would be one-on-one against the keeper and everything. He has the pace to recover. He can do everything pretty much as a center back. He's in a way, the perfect modern time center back for these days. And in a way, that's something also Real Madrid kind of needs. The outlet from center backs to midfield to attack. Because Alaba he is one of them, but he's getting very old. He's getting more and more injured, and he's not gonna last. Rudiger is just a bully. Militao is getting injured quite a bit, so it's not looking great for them. They just lost Nacho Monreal to Saudi as well. It was time to part ways. So they are a bit short in that instance. And to kind of secure and guarantee long-term future at Real Madrid, they need to sign some young players, or somewhat young. And Saliba fits perfectly in every single category of that Real Madrid kind of list they have made what they need in their team. And that is a bit of a worry because he fits perfectly to a team in every single way, shape, and form. So we will see what's going to happen with that. But obviously, yeah, 150 million. If they offered us 150 million, I would start entertaining the idea. But if they came in with a low ball, 80 million, some sort of a type offer, I would say no. 80 million? No thank you. Genuinely, no chance in hell, no thank you. Go away and sign him on FIFA if you want to, basically. That's what made Buffon Casillas great. They used to win points on their own for their teams. Yeah, it's not necessarily a bad sign, obviously. That's what made Buffon, Casillas, to some extent Neuer as well. That has made many goalkeepers great, phenomenal even. He can also save penalties, as we have seen from David Raya. His reactions are excellent. But at the same time, you have to kind of think about the fact that defense needs to help him out a bit on occasions. Obviously, they do as much as they can. Last season, they kind of saved Raya's ass. Now Raya is saving their asses on many occasions. So it will be very interesting to to see how this develops. But obviously, Raya getting man of the match, player of the month just shows how good he is and how crucial he is to our team and how much he has done and helped Arsenal to be third in the table at the moment in Premier League, to be challenging for that top 8 in Champions League, although it's been only 2 games, but still, it just shows a lot. And props to him, props to our defense into saving him in many instances. But the perfect unison in that instance would be both. That both are on top level. But the fact that, but again, returning to Saliba, these could be some scary hours. Because obviously, where is smoke, there is fire. That's the saying. And the fact that Real Madrid are sending scouts on somewhat consistent basis to certain games, and Saliba, in those games where they are, almost every single time, is one of the candidates for man of the match in the big games, yeah, it just shows that he has that it factor defensively and that he perfectly fits in Real Madrid's squad. That is for me the biggest thing about all of this, personally at least. Moving a bit on, here it is. Now, here it is. Alan Shearer a bit has spoken on Bukayo Saka. We are kind of moving on Saka now. We're going to talk about quite a bit in a way about Saka at the moment. Because, let's be real, he's our main guy in attack, for now at least, together with Kai Havertz, obviously. But Alan Shearer, one of the best strikers Premier League has had, in a way, has said, I wouldn't be surprised if Bukayo Saka would be an England captain in the future. Imagine Bukayo Saka as captain of England's national team. That would be just wild. He already has captained Arsenal, and because of his attitude, ability, and the way everyone looks up to him, he has all the attributes to be an England captain. And I absolutely agree, completely agree with that. I can see that. I don't know if I'm old school or I'm a bit of a boomer in that instance, but I much more prefer if the captain is either a center back or a holding DM or a goalkeeper. Because for me, the captain has to oversee every single part of the pitch and oversee things that are happening during the game, where to sometimes give someone like hit on the head and tell him get your head in the game or stop doing that or do something like that. And usually the game is most visible when you are a defender or a goalkeeper in those instances, when you don't have to maybe run ahead like a press and everything. Obviously that might be just my old school thinking because I've grown up on mostly on captains that are like Vieira, like Maldini, like Puyol, obviously Sergio Ramos and players like that, Manuel Neuer, defenders, goalkeepers and players who just see all the pitch, who can see what is developing and what could develop in next 5-10 minutes, who have that footballing IQ to that such high of a level that they actually basically like in chess see 3-4 moves ahead already. I don't know, maybe it's just my old school type of thinking. Maybe I'm a boomer, but yeah, if Saka is a captain, that is great. If he shows that he is ready for it, if he can lead the team and everything. But I still personally would prefer a defender holding DM and that type of a player to be the captain. Obviously, you have exceptions in that regard. You have players in the midfield, you have players in attack that can be captains, that have leadership skills and everything, but I don't know, it's something about defenders specifically, or a goalkeeper, or obviously, as I said, holding DM, that just screams for me the perfect spot in the team to be a captain. That is something, just my personal agenda in that instance. But if he is the captain, good for him. Generally, good for him. Moving on, and still on Saka, obviously. Bukayo Saka has created more big chances than any other player in Europe's top 5 leagues. Obviously, we spoke about this a few days ago, and I'm gonna get back to that point in a second. Bukayo Saka has created the most big chances, 12. Next two are Barcelona players, and to be honest, Barcelona under Hansi Flick are cooking like no tomorrow. It feels like Lewandowski has reborn fully. He has like Phoenix risen from the ashes, and he's banging goals left, right, and center. And Rafinha is usually one in the epicenter of that Lewandowski scoring, because I think it was last weekend Rafinha assisted twice to Lewandowski to score and stuff like that. Yamal, obviously Cole Palmer. Yeah, Dwight McNeil, as as Nathan is saying here, it's actually kind of a wild one. Obviously, with Everton, it's a bit different. They cannot hit the target to save their lives at the moment, and score goals. But McNeil has created quite a bit of chances. Obviously, Marmoush is a striker. He scores. Hakimi, elite wingback to attacking wingback. But obviously, there's another name in all these instances. Obviously, there's Nico Paz, as Nathan mentioned before, nearly of the stream, even before the stream. But there is also Alex Baena. And if you watch Villarreal play, you can see the quality of that guy. He actually is fan-freaking-tastic. The way he can distribute the ball, the first touch for him is immaculate. He can cross it. Yes, he plays as a left mid quite a bit for Villarreal, but he can also, if you play 3 midfielder formation, he can play as a left 8. Mostly just pushing forward and creating. He's that creative type of player, and I absolutely love watching him play. He's actually fantastic if you watch La Liga at least, and how he plays for Villarreal. I generally believe that Alex Baena could get a big move very soon from Villarreal. Tawir obviously remains to be seen, but he actually is quite fantastic in my opinion. And yeah, as Nathan said, the fact that Dwight McNeil is there, it's kind of a wild one. But as I said before, he has created 12 big chances. And on top of all of that, where is it? We spoke about this, I think, 3 days ago as well. Bukayo Saka has the most assists in Europe's top 5 leagues this season, with 7. Now, Lamine Yamal is a third with 5, obviously. Obviously, there's also Alex Baena. We just talked about him. But look who is second. It's our own Nuno Tavares. He is our own. There is our own Nuno Tavares. And if he keeps playing like that, by the way, there's no shadow of a doubt in my mind that Lazio will sign him at the end of the season. Now, the thing is, though, if he keeps performing like this, they will pay a bargain price, arguably. Unless Arsenal includes sell-on clause, which would be kind of fantastic in that instance as well. But the way he's playing at the moment, he is fantastic for Lazio. He fits in there nicely. He was injured, obviously, in the beginning of the season. He came back. He started against AC Milan. and he provided 2 assists and 2 goals in the game that finished 2-2. And he provided both assists for the Lazio goals as well. Nuno Tavares is kind of balling at Lazio, I must admit. Now, the only thing is, can he keep this up? Because he started similarly at Marseille as well. He started under, I think it was Igor Tudor, who was the manager at the time there, and he was also scoring, assisting, and doing all those things. Obviously, manager changed. His performance massively dropped off. He got some reds and stuff like that and everything. So it didn't work out. But if he can keep this up, Arsenal actually might sell him. Because let's remember this. It's an obligation to buy if they meet certain clauses that are in that obligation. And at the moment, looks like he might actually meet them if he keeps performing like this. But yeah, Bukayo Saka has the most assists in top 5 leagues. He has created the most chances, the big chances in top 5 leagues. So it just shows how good of a player he is. And the fact that he's in front of players like, he's in the same category as Lamine Yamal, for example, and Alex Baena, just shows. And to be honest, all of these players are hella young. Bukayo Saka is young. Tavares is, I think, still young, I would say. Yamal is the youngest of them lot. João Neves is super young. And Alex Baena is also young, still 22, if I'm not mistaken, something like that. It's actually kind of wild if you think about it. How old is Nuno Tavares, just for the sake of an argument? Nuno Tavares is 24, yeah? Alex Baena is 23. And obviously, João Neves is 20. And if we look still at Bukayo Saka, he is also only 23. So it's hell of a young team assembled there in those top assisters. Only youngsters pretty much, 24 or younger. There is also a teenager in there. So what were you doing at 18? Yamal is one of the top assisters in Europe. What were you doing at 18? It's kind of wild if you think about it. I have a bad feeling if Partey stays fit all season and keeps performing okay, we will extend his deal. It might actually happen in spite of that. Even if he doesn't stay fit, I think Arsenal might offer him at least 1+1 type of deal still. Because for Arsenal in the next summer transfer window, to replace 2 midfielders and to sign, in my opinion, 1 more on top, as they would need, in my opinion, as well, it would be hell of a tough task for Edu. Because he can barely sign 2-3 players in one window. Now imagine he needs to sign just 2-3 in one position. Yet alone we need a striker, backup for Saka, we need probably another defender and stuff like that. It actually would be hella wild. And I think the fact that the people are already talking behind closed doors about the fact that Jorginho most likely will leave and become a potential assistant coach or something like that, assistant manager or something at Arsenal and everything. And yeah, I think there might be the fact that the Partey actually might get an extension no matter what. And at the moment, there obviously are some rumors that Arsenal are looking potentially to extend Thomas Partey's contract, and he actually might be staying for at least a year. Maybe it will be a 1+1 with that option. But yeah, he actually might be staying. Now, if he stays, obviously, and he takes a wage cut and everything, and he agrees to be a rotational player, maybe like a mentor for another young player we signed for that midfield, I'm okay with that, because we would have Rice at 6, maybe Merino as an 8, then we sign another 8 and stuff like that, which Partey, Merino and Rice can mentor. I'm okay with that. But if we re-sign him, for example, and he still is the number 1 guy, I'm not gonna lie, I would be hella pissed. I would be hella pissed, because as a starting guy, in one way or another, I think his time has passed. At the moment, yes, he's performing and doing everything together, but at this, he's holding it together. But the injuries, the fact that he needs quite a bit of time to kind of come back from those injuries is a bit worrying. Not a bit, quite a bit worrying, let's just say that. We need to refresh the squad regardless. Exactly, we need to do that. The thing is though, will we just let Partey and Jorginho go, which means we need 2 more midfielders, and they actually, until they get integrated into the team, right? Until they adjust to Premier League, if we don't sign Premier League proven players, right? It could be hell of a tough order, especially if something happens to Rice or Merino if they get injured, because then we basically, it would be quite similar to other situations where we basically have to throw in a new player who doesn't know how Premier League works. He hasn't adjusted to the speed, the physicality of Premier League, and it's again sink or swim. And on most occasions, when basically you throw many players in that deep end, they usually barely can keep their head above the water, unless if not they sink. So it would be a bit of a reckless one if we let both of them go and sign two inexperienced Premier League players. However, if we let them both go, we sign a Premier League proven Premier League proven midfielder like Watson from Crystal Palace or something like that, and then we go sign one younger player to kind of grow into the team. I'm kind of okay with that. I'm not gonna lie. But if we just go and sign some inexperienced player, one from French league, one from I don't know. Tajikistan league or something like that, I would be hella pissed. I'm not gonna lie. And my camera has done a madness. I'm very sorry about that. I would be hella pissed in that instance. I'm not gonna lie. Bring Pogba to mentor plus a youngster. Pogba, it looks like his contract is terminated with Juventus, and according to latest reports, it will be either MLS or he will go to Marseille. Apparently, Marseille are in talks with Pogba. De Zerbi would like to have him in the midfield, so I think he might be returning to France. So that is also, you kind of have to follow Pogba in separate terms. But yeah, for Pogba at the moment, it's either Marseille or MLS. Obviously for MLS, I don't know if it's Miami or it's New York or sorry, LA. New York. LA, New York, LA Galaxy and LA. The other LA club that's not Galaxy. New York City, and why? Yeah, New York, never mind. It's basically where Carlos Vela plays on them, man. It might be one of those, basically. But yeah, Pogba and Watson would be a great window. To be honest, they both are Premier League proven, so that wouldn't be the worst case scenario. The big thing is we would replace a 32-year-old with another 32-year-old. That would be the only worry. And at the moment, signing Pogba is basically like buying cat in a bag. You don't know what you're gonna get. He hasn't played for, it feels like, centuries. He hasn't stepped on a pitch with a team in a competitive game for centuries, unless he plays EAFC or FIFA. That's the closest he has gotten to playing competitive football, most likely. So it will be very interesting to see how that goes, obviously. But yeah, signing Watson, in my opinion, wouldn't be the worst option. Why couldn't we do that? Sign Watson, for example. Sign Wissa as a backup for Saka, for example, as well. Although I don't know if Wissa would want to be a backup. That is also a big one in that instance. But yeah, anyways, we spoke about we spoke about this, we spoke about that. There is another thing I wanted to talk about, which I might be reading a bit more than I need to, but Bukayo Saka has spoken in an interview about Jurrien Timber, and he said he gave me a lot of confidence that when he's 1v1 with an attacker, he's going to win the ball back and give it to me. On the ball, he's composed, so calm and confident. He is a top player. Now, I might be reading too much into this, potentially, but that doesn't sound too promising for Ben White. Or am I maybe crazy? Because Ben White has said openly in interviews that he trains, he plays, but he doesn't watch football. Mostly when he defends, he usually steps back. He's not that, when he's one against one, yes, he wins the duels quite often, but he tends to step back away from the defender quite a bit. And when someone cuts in on him, he tends to get spun at times. Obviously, he's very good. He has done great for Arsenal. As a center back, he's a massive liability, and I don't want to see him play there for Arsenal. But as a right back, he's been quite great. Not gonna lie, quite great. One of the best the right backs in the league. However, the way Saka is speaking on Timber right here kind of makes me kind of uneasy in a way, with the fact that Saka prefers on that right side to play more with Timber than with Ben White. It feels that way. I don't know if it's just me or it's also you guys in the chat, you're watching and everything, but it could be just me. Obviously, I think Timber provides more going forward, and I think he's more comfortable on the ball. Obviously, Ben White's passing, I would say, is a bit better than Ben White's. But otherwise, I think Timber is that better. He has that energy. He has, as most Arsenal fans like to describe Calafiori, Also, Timber, he has that aura, if that makes sense. He has that something about him that just screams, he is the guy. He is him in a way at most of the time. Because when he played in the beginning, before he got injured last season, in Community Shield against City, he was excellent. We only conceded as soon as we took him off and put Zinchenko at left back. This season, when he's playing, more often than not, he hasn't put a foot wrong. It feels like he has never been injured before. He's on top form, and to be honest, he's not still on top form. You can see him cramping, see him limping at times. He also obviously didn't play. He had a minor knock. Obviously, we were managing his minutes. But even straight after the injury, he feels like a top player still. And if you think about it, there's only way up from here where he's at the moment. I'm not sure Ben White can survive that in a way. And that comes back to, I think, yesterday's or day ago, we talked about this. That Ben White or Gabriel, I could get the Ramsdale treatment. And I think Ben White is kind of odds-on favorite, in my opinion, to get that Ramsdale treatment when he gets dropped for another player. And I think the way Saka at the moment is speaking about him, and again, I might be reading too much into it. I'm gonna hold my hands up in this instance. I think there could be some indications of that, but that could be just me talking out of my ass, obviously, some conspiracy theories and stuff like that. But at the moment, it kind of feels that way. I'm not gonna lie. Timber clearly has more license to go forward than Ben White. Yeah, I think so as well. And it also might coincide with the fact that I would say Timber is quicker than Ben White. He's more agile, more direct, which means going forward, he's more dangerous. And also getting back, he's more dangerous. He's a bit short than Ben White, because I think Ben White is 6'1" and Timber is 6 foot, if I'm not mistaken. But at the same time, it feels like with with Jurrien Timber at our right back spot, it feels kind of more solid in attack specifically, for sure. Defensively, obviously, remains to be seen, but the way still Timber has played so far, you cannot knock him for much. He hasn't done much wrong. Yes, you could say maybe he lost a bit. Was it him who lost his marker? The way one goal we conceded. No, it wasn't him. We haven't conceded too much from the right side as well when he has played there. We usually lose when he has come off, so yeah, this is a very interesting comment. Again, as I can reiterate that I might be reading too much into this, or there might be some hidden agenda I haven't kind of realized, that I maybe preferred Timber to Ben White. I still haven't realized it myself, but it kind of feels that way. I think Saka kind of prefers to play with Jurrien Timber. I think also the runs Timber makes when going forward with overlapping, or playing like an inside type of winger, running in between the lines when Saka is out wide, he's more dangerous in that spot as well, in my opinion. So it's a very interesting one. It's very, very interesting one, in my opinion. Very interesting one. But yeah, we digress and we move forward. And we're going to talk about a bit more about Arsenal, obviously, and a thing that could cost us going forward. And this is not a stat where you want to see your main guy being. It's a stat with the most wasteful players so far this season. And it's basically big chances created for them and chances they have missed. Now, the biggest thing is, Havertz has been quite great for us since 2024 began, to be honest. He has been in quite great form. He's been scoring quite a bit. Obviously, when this season at home, he has scored consistently, provided us with goals and assists. But one thing that Kai Havertz doesn't excel as much as he does in other things is being consistent and putting the ball in the back of the net consistently. And this is the biggest reason why during the whole transfer window, huge part of Arsenal's fan base were screaming that we need a proper number 9, a bagsman who can drop a shoulder and bang in a goal. Obviously, Havertz's goal against PSG, the header, striker's goal, The goal against Southampton, when he dropped the shoulder, left, right, goes and just smashes it in like a bullet with his left foot, striker's goal and stuff like that. However, Havertz can do these things more often than not. The big thing is, he still manages to waste quite a bit of chances. And as at the moment, it hasn't cost us too much, but in a long run, it could cost us big time, unless we find goals from other places. And the fact that out of these three on the screen, he actually isn't the proper number 9. The rest of them two are the number 9, Solanke and Watkins. We kind of need for an improvement. The issue is, how many actual improvements are there over Havertz? Because in summer, mostly I heard Gyökeres, Isak, Osimhen, and Tony. One of those four. Obviously, in between the lines, there was sometimes Šeško, sometimes someone else, but most of the time we heard about them four. At the moment, Osimhen is on loan at Galatasaray. Tony has signed for Saudi Al Ahly, plays together with Mahrez. Isak is playing still for Newcastle and a bit injured. And Gyökeres is still at Sporting Lisbon, banging goals left, right, and center, scoring like a madman, and he is preparing to face us in few weeks in Champions League. In few weeks, when I say, I mean in a month, basically. But yeah, this is the big thing. Havertz's inconsistency in front of the net is the big issue. That is the big issue for Arsenal to winning something, basically, in my opinion. Yes, maybe we can do this in cup games, right? With Havertz up top, he misses, again, he scores some. Maybe that kind of covers that inconsistencies. But over a course of 38 games, specifically in Premier League in this instance, they kind of tend to add up. And at some point, kind of the penny is going to drop. And at some point, we're going to be a bit short in 1 or 2 games. And that ultimately could cost us. And we need a striker who is lethal in front of the goal. And in those 1 or 2 times, can put the ball in the back of the net. That is the big thing for me. Unless all of a sudden Odegaard comes back, starts banging in goals, Saka starts banging in goals, because Saka has only 2 goals this season and 7 assists, if I'm not mistaken, in Premier. And Martinelli is kind of starting to find form, but still needs quite a bit of work to do. Jesus is basically as useful as Eddie Nketiah. He's the Brazilian Eddie Nketiah at the moment at Arsenal. He's like Lacazette with cheekbones, Bolivian Jesus or something like that. It's a bit of an iffy one at the moment. Is Šeško better than Havertz? Is he? The way Arsenal want to play, no. That is the big thing. The way Arsenal want to play, he is not. That is the big thing. I'm all for improvement. Personally, I think Isak is the guy, but Gyökeres maybe. Šeško, I'm not confident. Yes, that's the thing. For Šeško, I'm not too confident either. He's still young, obviously. He should grow into it. He should develop and all that stuff. But at the moment where Arsenal are, we kind of don't have time to develop, like mold some sort of type of young players or developing players. We need players who can do it right here, right now, no questions asked. And at the moment, those are probably Isak and Gyökeres. The thing is, the way Newcastle play, Isak fits to a T, in my opinion. If you look how Newcastle play compared to Arsenal, it's completely polar opposites, if you get what I mean. Arsenal don't play very wide kind of type of expansive type of football. We used to, but we don't anymore. If we were still playing like we did 2 years ago, then I can see Isak working for us. At the moment, I much more prefer Viktor Gyökeres. I'm not gonna lie. Obviously, he has also had injury problems and everything, but it hasn't slowed him down. It feels he doesn't get too injured. Yes, he had surgery during the summer and everything, but he recovered quite quickly. And basically, only questions that people had, can he recover from injury and still keep the form he had last year? And pretty much in the first 5 games, he showed that he can basically even overachieve what he did last season. So for me, it is Gyökeres, I'm not gonna lie. Then the second option most likely is Isak. Third option, Third option. Third option. If you think about it, there actually are not that many world-class banging strikers. For me, the third option would have been Ivan Toney, but since he's at Saudi, it's not possible. So I would say... I would say Victor Osimhen is the third option. For me, it's Gyökeres, Isak, Osimhen. And the fourth option or something like that is obviously... what's its face? Benjamin Šeško. Obviously, we have been linked with... what's its face? Jonathan David. His contract runs out at the end of this season. He said he doesn't want to renew and wants to see greener pastures. Obviously, there are about, as we spoke about this yesterday, 9 teams interested, or 7 it was, I don't remember. But there was Spurs, there was Arsenal, United, Juventus, Barcelona, top teams. Let's be real. And if Arsenal would sign Jonathan David, the thing is, I still think we need another striker, because for me, Jonathan David kind of at the moment screams like a replacement for Jesus. If we get rid of Jesus, right? He screams like a replacement for Jesus. Kind of we should be okay, but at the same time, if you want to replace Jesus, by all means, then go sign David. But I still think we need a proper striker up top. I don't think that Jonathan David per se is it. He's not it. Yes, he can be a second striker, play in the cups, play in certain games and stuff like that, come on as a sub, maybe start and someone else comes on. But Jonathan David for me is not the guy you basically put all your eggs in his basket and hope he scores and gets you over the line. Obviously, he did great against Real Madrid. He's doing great in the Ligue 1 for the countless seasons. They actually bought Jonathan David, Lille, to replace Osimhen when they sold him to Napoli. And he has actually hit the ground running and never looked back since. So obviously there's a big transition from Ligue 1 to Premier League or whatever. But would I take him? Yes, I would. I would take David, but with a kind of asterisk that we can sign a proper striker still. That is the big thing. Odegaard, isn't he hella young? Odegaard. Yeah, he's 20. That for me is the biggest issue. He's only 20. 5 games, 4 goals, which is actually not bad. Yeah, he just moved though to Porto for 15 million. If he even has somewhat decent season, because if you look, 5 games in Liga Portugal, 4 goals, 2 games in Champions League, Europa League, 3 goals, which means if he keeps at somewhat this pace, by the end of the season, he will go to another team if someone's interested for about 60 to 70 million. And paying 60, 70 million for Odegaard for me is quite a bit of a nonsense, if you get what I mean. Because let's be real, Portuguese teams are one of the hardest teams to do business with. They have release clauses on every single player, and if they don't, they usually ask insane amount of money. And in that instance, you might as well go Gyökeres. Put 10, 15 million on top, get Gyökeres, if they ask that. That's the way I see it, at least. On the other hand, if we go to Italy, we try and sign Osimhen, it's still another. Italian teams are the second hardest teams to deal with in that instance. So it also is a bit of a rough one, if you ask me. It is a bit of a rough one in that instance. For me, number 1 is Isak, number 2 is Gyökeres, and number 3 is Odegaard. So you would take Odegaard over Osimhen if there was a chance, or over Jonathan David if there was a chance. I get that correctly. You most likely, the way I think you see this is that Odegaard is like a Edin Nketiah at the moment, a player that comes on here or there and he develops basically under someone else. Correct? Or do you think he is actually a guy who will be the number 2 guy? Because for me, he seems still raw a bit to be the proper starting number 2. Not starting, but rotational number 2 guy. I think he still needs to grow a bit. That's the way at least I see it. I might be wrong. Obviously, he could prove me wrong if we sign him, but he would be hella expensive. And but for the money that most likely Porto would demand for him, I think it would make more sense, even if it's required to add like 10-15 million on top, go and sign already an established player who already knows how to find back of the net and who knows how to score on consistent basis, who has proven himself. Let's just say it that way. At least that's the way I think about it and I see it. But yeah, I lost all confidence. I can understand that. Totally understand that. The thing that he went to Galatasaray still kind of confuses me. I'm not gonna lie, but obviously Conte said I want Lukaku, and I don't have Osimhen in my plans. Obviously Conte and Lukaku have a very special relationship. No Didi, and all that stuff. But overall, yeah. Nobody wanted to pay the big money that owners of Napoli wanted, so he basically had to go on loan. That was about it. And how Galatasaray per se got him, it's actually kind of wild. It is actually kind of wild. Yeah, and they signed Osimhen. He didn't play for them in Europa League, and they couldn't beat RFS. So how mad is that? They couldn't beat a team for freaking Latvia. Big up Latvians. So yeah, it is what it is, I guess, at the end of the day. But yeah. I'm not sure, but yeah, ultimately we are still based on these metrics too wasteful still in front of goal, and that kind of shows in the games. Because if you look at this, if you look at Havertz at times, Martinelli even, there has been Saka moments, Odegaard moments. You basically they have that chance, and you look at this and think, how on earth did you bloody miss that? You basically have 60 to 80% of the goal open, and you manage to completely miss the target while you are wide open under no pressure. Like, how have you done that? Or, in another instance, you get the ball and you shoot it straight at the keeper. That is something Arsenal do. They either basically miss the goal completely and it goes somewhere in stratosphere, or they shoot it straight at the keeper most of the time. It's either or when we create these big chances. And that is the thing, and that's why many times our opposing goalkeepers look like prime Casillas against us. We saw that against, who was it? It was against Leicester City. That's how the Leicester City goalkeeper looked like prime Casillas against us pretty much. Or we basically don't score and waste our chances. We looked at this yesterday. Where our goals basically are over exceeding the XG in numerous games, where we score 2 goals but XG is 0.8 or something like that. We are overperforming in a way. And it kind of shows we don't create much, but we manage to score. At the same time, it's a good thing, because if we manage to get our XG up, create things and actually get proper chances, it means that our goal tally should go up quite rapidly as well, exponentially pretty much. If we can score 2 goals with basically 1 XG, it means that there's a big possibility that if we get, let's just say, 1.5 XG or 2 XG, we score 3-4 goals. So that would be the hope, at least, that they either balance each other out, so basically when we get 2 XG we actually score 2 or 3 goals, or it actually grows so that under 2 XG we score 4 goals, something like that. That would be the hope, but at the moment, without Odegaard, it's a bit of a rough one. I'm not gonna lie, it's a bit rough to tell. It's rough around the edges and everything. We are kind of basically coping. It's like a coping without Odegaard at the moment. We are not playing properly. You can see that when we are in attack. It sometimes feels like we run out of ideas. It feels like we are very slow, because Odegaard is kind of that engine that kind of oversees everything, obviously, as a playmaker, as a number 10. And you could see that we are missing that. Odegaard has not been scoring. Yeah, to be honest, Odegaard's... Wait, hold on. Let's look at this. Odegaard. I think the best season for Odegaard was the season 2 years ago when we finished second with 8 points behind, and we played super attacking and expansive football. Am I correct? Am I correct to say that? Basically. Am I correct to say that was arguably the biggest reasoning that was the best season for Odegaard at Arsenal? Yeah, see, the season when we play expansive attacking type of football, he scored 15 goals, got 7 assists, 22 points. Last season we played more pragmatic, he was more in a creative role than an attacking per se role, and he scored 8 goals and got 10 assists. So more assists, but sacrificed 7 goals. He was a bit restrained in that instance. It kind of shows. It kind of shows. We need midfield goals to win this league. Defense is doing their job from corners and attackers. will click. Yeah, attackers should click eventually. Genuinely, I think Havertz already is in a very decent form. If he can kind of transfer his home form to away form where he consistently scores or provides GA, right? We are golden. Saka basically can have 7 out of 10 performance on average, but still get proper GA and carry us in the crucial moments. The issue is the number 10 spot and that left wing spot where we don't get enough production from it at certain times. Missing big chances always cost your team points. Exactly. Big up Nick in the chat, by the way. Big up Nick. But yeah, and it remember, the prime example for us in this instance is game against Brighton. Because Brighton, when we had 10 men, created arguably 1 chance to properly score, maybe 2. Arsenal had 1-on-1 for Havertz, who shot it basically straight at the keeper. And the other one was for Bukayo Saka when Havertz passed the ball. And Saka couldn't get to the ball. He basically tried to stretch it instead of keeping running and maybe trying to then kind of slide in for the ball and take a shot. We had all the chances with 10 men to win against Brighton. We just missed the big chances to score. We had something similar against City as well, with when we tried to counter them all the time. We had something similar. We scored 2 goals, but we still had chances. Last year, against West Ham, we should have been 3-4 nothing up at half time. In the end, we lost 2-0. It was also against Aston Villa, against Fulham. We created, but we didn't score the chances in critical points of the game. And at the end of the game, it tended to cost us big time. It's not about how we play. He still had plenty of chances that he was not scoring. That's the thing. Per se, it's not maybe about how we play. Sometimes maybe changing it, kind of maybe changing certain, tweaking it and everything. It's not the reason why players don't get points. It's the fact that you get in positions to score, but you just don't. And that is the frustrating bit, because 9 times out of 10, you tend to score, right? Those chances. But somehow feels like, obviously laws of averages don't work like you're gonna roll the dice 10 times, take that shot, you're gonna score 9 times. Because it could kind of go exponentially to, let's just say you take 50 shots and you score 45. It could mean that you score 20, then you miss 5 in a row, and then you score those 25, right? It could also mean that they miss those 5 chances in a row. It kind of can go into that category as well, if you get what I mean. And that's how somehow it sometimes feels with Odegaard, especially. He gets that chance, certain chances, very consistently. He gets similar chances almost every single game or every other game. It's just the fact that he misses them recently more often than not. And that is the frustrating bit. Same goes for Martinelli last year. He had countless chances to score, cutting in from the left side, kind of going one-on-one with the keeper, or somewhat nearly one-on-one with the keeper. 2 years ago, he put those chances away with his eyes closed. And Martinelli had season of his life. Last season, again, he missed most of those chances. So there are some inconsistencies. We were creating the same chances or same amount of chances. We just basically didn't take them. And at the moment, it arguably, maybe at this stage of the season, hasn't cost us big, because it's obviously just start of the season. But at the same time, you can already look at Brighton game and think, what if Havertz scored that? Obviously, you have to put in context that Raya has saved our asses big time with double saves, triple saves, penalty saves, quite a bit. Watkins missed empty net, so that you have to take into account. But nonetheless, like, the luck favors the strongest, as they say. And for Arsenal, as lucky they are maybe sometimes defensively, it kind of universe balances itself out most of the time with that unluckiness per se in attack. And we kind of need to find the right balance. We need to find the right yin and yang in a way in attack to balance our defense. And we are getting quite similar chances we did last season and season before. We just cannot put them away. And it tends to at times fall for the same players. It's kind of like same players just drawn on paper, and it happens like deja vu. It's just, again, we don't finish those chances. One game we finish them, other game we just don't. One season we score those chances consistently, other season we tend to miss half of those chances. And at the end of the season, obviously, as Nick said, missing big chances always cost your team points. It may not cost us now, may not cost us till Christmas, right? But at the end of the season, they will add up. It's just the question will be how much damage they will do to Arsenal over the whole season. How big of a damage? Because we can miss here or there and win the league. At the same time, we can miss here or there as well and come second again. It's just, there are too many variables in that instance that also are not only dependent on Arsenal, but Arsenal has to do as much as they can from themselves to try and score and to score those chances. The issue is, though, we are doing these things, we just don't score. And if we did, it would be a whole different story, because you could say what if, but if we scored those chances against Brighton, we are at the top of the table at the moment. We are together there with Liverpool, and City already would be behind us. Just saying. Obviously, if we lose to Aston Villa, right, in that game where Watkins missed empty net, we would be 5 points behind Liverpool. And that would be already different talk then. Because 5 points, it may not seem as much, but it's also not great already this early, obviously. But yeah, I guess it is what it is at the end of the day. We just have to wait and see what's going to happen with the team. Will they click into gear? And not per se will they, the question is when. Will it be in the prime opportunistic time? And hopefully it's not going to be too late as well, because we don't know what's going to happen. But anyways, I think on that note, I have confused myself, by the way, talking about all this. I kind of know what I want to say at times. I just cannot find the right words to say those things. I think you get what I mean. I hope, at least I hope. But yeah, I think on that note, I'm going to end it here. Thank you guys so much for watching. Thank you guys so much for chilling. Big up Coach, Nathan, Nick. Big up everyone in the chat, everyone who dropped by, who liked, commented, subscribed. If you're watching this as a playback, drop a comment. If you're new around here, subscribe, all that good stuff. Take care, stay safe, have a nice day, see you all tomorrow, and, well, have a great evening.